in mind, you can also plot using your calculator, agreed? So quick calculator plotting. Turn on your calculators. Let me go back to my main screen. Turn on your calculator to arrive to this screen. Go to y equals, very top left button. And we want to graph 2, push the caret key right below your clear button. And push the X button, your variable button, right next to your alpha button. You can hit enter or push down. That way you're on Y2. And we want to graph 4 times in parentheses, so parentheses, 4 multiplication. 1 divided by 2, close your parentheses. Your parentheses are above your number keypad. Be aware of that in case you're looking for them. And then your caret key right below your clear button, once again, caret key. And your X is your variable button. So now we can push graph. But before we do that, let's go to zoom and let's do zoom standard, option number 6. There we go. And there's our first graph, 2 to the power of X. Now the second graph, 4 times 1/2 to the power of X. There it is. We have a visual of 2 graphs just like what's on the screen there. So be aware, something we can always do. And we can always use our tables if we needed to fill in tables as well. Go to the second button and go to the graph up at the top right option. It gives you the table, which you can see tables for both equations in this case, equation 1 and equation 2. And you're welcome to use this to fill in tables. Do remember, in many cases you could do at least one calculation to show how it works and that it's actually working correctly or you know how to do it. Agreed? Going back to our graph real quick, you can hit the trace button, and the trace button allows you to move left or right on a particular equation. Trace button is right next to your graph button. You can push up or down to switch between the graphs. You can see it moving along the graph. If I put in 0, it'll give me the y-intercept by hitting enter. There you go. For y2, it's giving me that the y-intercept is 4. If I push 0 again, notice I'm still in the trace option. I haven't gone out of it. I'll hit enter and it gives me a y4, but I want the other one, so let's go to the other one and it jumps to that one. Let me move out of the way that we can see it. Let's hit the trace button once again and we want to put 0 and hit enter. Notice once again it calculates a 0 and 1 and we can actually have it do intersection. Second trace button allows you to do the calculation. Let's calculate the intersection of both lines. Option number 5. Push the button 5 and it automatically goes into the graphs. Notice it's asking me, is this the first curve you want to use? If I had 3 or more graphs, then I would push up or down to select which one I want to use. But that's the first curve. So I'll hit enter and it automatically jumps to y number 2 at the very top. We can see that. And I'm going to say, yes, that's my second graph that I want to calculate the intercept from by hitting enter. Notice we're looking for it where they cross each other, agreed? Not the x or y intercept. So hit enter once again. And now it calculates where these 2 lines meet. They meet at x is 1 and y is 2. Once again, this was just some quick graphing for reference for you to see. I highly recommend you use the zoom feature and use the zoom in, zoom out, and zoom box. Zoom standard, of course, as well. Zoom stat is the other common option. Option number 9, zoom stat. Zoom fit could also be useful. Option 0, let's try zoom fit. Let's see what it does or what it makes it look like. It may not always be what you want it to look like though. Let's be aware of that. There we go. We have one graph and then here comes the other graph. But it makes it look puny, right? As far as where the region we were originally looking at. Let's go to zoom and go to zoom standard, option number 6. And let's realize I can actually go ahead and zoom to the left of this. So let's go to zoom once it's done. And I want to zoom on to the left by doing a zoom box. Let's move my cursor, that way you can see where it's at. There's my cursor. It looks like my graph ends here, roughly. But it really doesn't. And you'll see this by doing the box. Let me move the box by hitting enter, then pushing up, then pushing to the left. I want to zoom into this region. Now you can see that even though from this point of view where we have our calculator, it looks like it ends, or it stops graphing, it really doesn't. It tries to graph closer to the x, but it's unable to because of the detail on the graphing calculator. But if I hit enter in this region, it'll zoom into this region now. And I should still now see a line form. See, there's a line. It's still continuing to graph. If I try to zoom box again and zoom closer into the region where I can't see anything, zoom box, and I'm going to zoom in right about here where it looks like I can't see anything because it looks like it stopped. But once again, it didn't stop. It just can't show it to you because it's so fine detail that there's not enough space. And I'll just zoom into that area. And there's my line still getting closer and closer to the x-axis, agreed? And this is going towards the left side, not towards the right side. Towards the right side, keep in mind it goes up. So now that we can see that it does keep graphing, but it's just so close that it can't really show the details because of how close it is. I'll go to zoom standard again, option 6, to see the very basic graph, just like what we have on the left side there. There we go. So just for reference, and remember, our x-axis in this case is an asymptote, where in this case it does not meet the x-axis.